KLIF News Time 3:36. Bloomberg News reports that births in the United States have been falling for the last 4 years, making it the smallest population gain since World War II. Joining us now is matchmaker Hellen Chen. She's the author of a book, The Matchmaker of the Century. Hellen, thanks for joining us. Why is it people are waiting longer and longer to get married and have kids?
Well, it's a lot of problem. They worry about the self-center, and then they actually don't like to have a commitment. And then they're thinking the responsibility is too big for them to carry. But that was just lying. I mean, they just don't want to go through. That is what happened.
And, a lot of problems come up as people continue to wait on marriage and children, doesn't it?
Yes, I mean, because they just, even the education and the parents and the friends encourage them, don't do it. You see, even in China and Taiwan, a lot of parents say, don't have children and don't marry because you probably cannot face it.
I think that, I'm not going to tell my age, but I've noticed that through the years, it seems like people's priorities have really affected this. And a lot of people, I don't know if I want to call it self-centered, but they become kind of caught up in their own world, and it kind of takes longer for you to bring somebody else into it.
Right, and then they have a lot of bad experience because now the people dating, and then they dating, and then dating, and then usually broken their heart. So they get more and more worried. That's why I was in my book say very clearly, you date after you marry.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, but I don't think a lot of people realize this.
That's why we just try to tell them and promote them and, remind them, when they're young, that's what they dream for. They want to fall in love, and then they like to have that feeling lasting. But then as soon as they started dating, they started getting broken their heart, and then they get more and more confused, and then they're not sure. The certainty went away. So after they're over 30, that become more and more difficult.
Talking to best-selling author and matchmaker Hellen Chen. You say you don't need financial security to get married. Why not?
Well, it's because, you see, that is really nothing to do with love. Financial security is just do with, what you want on the material and how do you really want to have a comfort for life. But when you fall in love, thinking about falling in love, when we're young, we fall in love, that's nothing to do with money. So it's like one thing to do with another thing. It's like, you don't mix these things together. If you're just talking about you want to fall in love, that is nothing needed the finance.
I also find it interesting that you actually have some statistics and talk about actually your finances get better after you get married.
Of course, because you see, 1 + 1 is more than 2. It's like, I even say 1 + 1 is infinity. It's just more than you can think. If you could live alone, why you cannot live two people?
I also, you find this out with kids as well. You think, I can't have kids. They're going to cost so much in college and everything. But what you find is your finances actually go up, don't they?
Right, because you want to have a better life. You're looking for the future. You have a hope, and you will naturally produce better. Because when you have a marriage, you have a family, and you have kids, you naturally more concentrate on your production. Instead of dating people, they spend a lot of time dating,
Talking to Hellen Chen, who's written the book, The Matchmaker of the Century. Tell us about the book.
Well, this book is I write about, how I marry people and then why it's important and people looking for marry and have a family. And I also put a lot of real story inside whoever I married to. And then all this couple, now they have babies and then they're happy.
How did you decide? Was it just something that you've always wanted to kind of explore, or is it something that kind of inspired you?
From the young time, teenager, I just like to mind people's business. And then I all the time try, and then, and it become very successful. And then just come to my mind, this is what I like to do. I like to see people fall in love. I like to see people has a marriage. And when people fall in love, I could tell. So I can see, oh, wow, this guy is in love with this woman, and this woman is want to marry this guy. And then I encourage them, and then that happens. So they're just so simple, I become a matchmaker.
Matchmaker of the Century is the book. It's Barnes & Noble. You can find it. Hellen Chen, thanks for joining us for a few minutes. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.